Come on, Jordan, sit down. I'm recording. We're doing this intro right now. This is, we're in our mid-40s somewhere. This is like our 90th time recording our intro because we're fucking tired as shit. This last little bit has been really fucking busy for us. And we have the rendezvous coming up, which I hope you guys can make it to. Nice of you to join, Dick.
Hey guys, we have Jessica Lee on this week.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, Utah Tar Sands Resistance and
Peaceful
Uprising.
Yeah, so hope you guys enjoy our little chit chat. We talk about tea a little bit. I love tea. If you guys don't know that yet,
Tea's delicious.
and I'm drinking a Squeeze It right now because I'm awesome.
Yeah, you're a child
I'm really fucking tired. I don't know why I'm consuming sugar.
because it is helpful.
It is very helpful.
Which Side Rendezvous? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's coming up this weekend.
It is going to be.
Lots of fun. I'm gonna have my undie fun run.
I'm gonna have real adult activities.
Is that what? Like you want children to be a part of the undie fun run? What are you, a fucking pervert? It's an adult activity.
No, when I'm talking about an adult activity, like real, like.
Oh, you're talking about
nude fun run.
Nude. Oh, you're doing
No.
the nude fun run.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, you can join me for my fun run or his for his fun. No, we're gonna have fun though.
We're gonna play Still the Flag, hopefully.
Yeah, we're gonna capture the flag. Gonna have workshops. I know that there's gonna be yoga. There's gonna be self-defense.
I'm making hardtack to show and bring to everyone how you can survive on hardtack in the wilderness.
We have wilderness survival training to go along with that. We're gonna have where it talks about, there's Tar Sands 101, learn about the area and how it's being endangered. Gonna have
Quite a few.
a lot of things. I'm trying to name them all, but I can't even think of them all.
And if you want to come, you can put something up and hold your own discussion.
We have a
Because
community events board.
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
You want to hold your own workshop? Do it, because that's what it's about. It's
Yep.
things run on consensus. We're gonna have general assemblies and people. There's no fucking people in charge.
If you want to come and just play fucking kick the can, come. Put it on the board. People can play kick the can.
I'll play fucking kick the can.
I would love to play kick the can.
Yeah.
Love it.
If you want to come down and just camp and, maybe come by every now and then, that's totally cool too. It's honestly just about building community, and we talk about that more. But, if you want to come down just to camp, come down to camp.
Yep. We'll see you guys there.
August 30th.
Through September 2nd.
So be there.
Or be square. Is that good?
I think that's fine.
Okay, let's fucking go to bed.
Okay, sounds
Bye.
good. Bye.
Enjoy. I wish I was a tea snob. I'm not like that yet. But when you say used to be, what is I used to be a tea snob mean?
I still have all my tea paraphernalia, except it's all in storage right now, so I don't get tea snob right now. I get to drink whatever tea shows up.
Yeah, that's how I am. I mean, I can't afford to be a true tea snob. What's your favorite tea? Like, what do you drink all the time? Like, what's your daily?
Daily, I go through big mint tea, especially when I'm sick.
So you're more herbal.
Sometimes I don't know. I still I like oolong tea quite a bit.
I'm like an oolong snob. Like,
So when you say snob,
I almost will only drink oolong. I've been drinking Earl Grey in the morning because I get it free at work, and it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to only drink a peach oolong in the morning.
I have one. It's actually called the Princess Grey, and it's got flowers in it.
Like, what kind of, is that like hibiscus in it, or what kind of flowers?
No, it's whatever. The small pink things.
Is it the flowers from? Is it the bergamot?
I think so.
Because that's the flavor in it. Yeah. Is it called bergamot?
I think it's
something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love good oolongs.
It's weird.
It is weird.
Your voice in my head.
It's very weird. If you don't like it, you can just
very
take them off.
I feel very, very official. Like we're doing something important.
And you can hear, like, when you get closer to the microphone, you'll hear the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. See the difference in how I sound. It's really good. So what, do you not drink very much tea right now?
I do drink a lot of tea right now, but all my tea. Like, so most of my tea stuff is in storage. So, like, I have a hard time.
So do you only drink loose leaf then? You won't drink bagged?
I do drink. This is the thing. I'm drinking shitty tea right now.
Yeah,
like shitty tea. Because that's what's at my house.
One of my favorite teas. I shouldn't say favorite. It's I drink it all the time. I call it my penny oolong, and it's because it was a penny a bag. And I'd buy a box of 100 for $1 at the Oriental or Chinese market. I don't know, whatever. They used to be called the Oriental Express, and they got pressured to change their name.
I think it's Southeast.
Now
Asia.
it's called. No, they were that for a while.
No, it's Ocean Mart.
Now it's called Ocean Mart.
That's
Where's
right.
Ocean Market?
It's on 90th South by the liquor store. I love it. It's one of my favorite. But it's like the worst fucking oolong you can get. I don't even think you should call it tea because I think it's all stems. I don't think there's any actual leaf in there whatsoever.
So they have this thing where you can make basically iced tea without actually seeping iced tea because it's the shittiest tea ever. So
how do you make iced tea without steeping?
Right? So like you seep it, but you don't have to seep it as long, and it doesn't have to be hot water because it's like basically the tea is almost powdered because it's like all the cast.
Is it like doing like a sun tea where
kind of? Except
but that's a long.
I mean, if it's powder, then it mixes into the water.
But it's still in a bag, and so like So
oh,
it's
that
like
sounds gross.
But it's not like
shitty tea, and then you put it in
matcha.
a bag. It's not matcha.
Yeah. Is it really heavily sweetened?
Yeah.
See, and I don't sweeten teas at all.
Raspberries.
Like I refuse to sweeten teas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah.
I used to work in a coffee shop, and like I got so sick of even the smell of espresso, like anything coffee related, was just like because it was such a horrible experience. I started drinking tea, and then I became like the tea snob. So it was like,
yeah, I'm the same way. Like, why the fuck do you sweeten your tea? Like, I do like a good Southern sweet tea every once in a while.
Oh yeah, sweet tea is great.
Like it's great with like dinner or something, or just relaxing on the porch on a hot day. But that's like the only sweetener I'll ever have in tea. Like that's it. Yeah.
I like Cafe de Bola, how they are about coffee. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, you're kind of a coffee snob there.
A little bit. I like to sit in there and like just drink my coffee and watch how many people get rejected. If there's one guy that works there,
he's a huge fucking snob.
He's a snob.
Have you ever been there?
No.
His wife is super sweet, and so she'll like do anything for the customer. And he's like, I want butt fucking milk in your coffee.
Yeah, they're actually tea snobs too. Like they fly to Thailand and China to handpick their teas once a year.
Where's?
It's right across from the library, downtown library.
Yeah, it's cathedral to
they'll
tattoos.
close every once in a while for like a month because they're out of the country picking they roast their own coffee. So they go out of the country, pick their own beans, pick their own tea leaves. And yeah.
They're one of the few places that I know that actually do siphon filter coffee.
So if you want like a 4.5 to 5 ounce cup of coffee that costs like $9, I don't know how much it really costs.
It's about $7.
Yeah, for like 5 ounces of coffee.
It's totally worth it. It's an experience. You have to sit there and enjoy it. Takes about 30 minutes, and you get a cup of water to cleanse your palate after, because the aromas and everything changes with each.
So it's not
sip.
for like the coffee addict who's just
no.
Maybe
Oh no! You sit down and you drink it. If you don't, you.
It's about like
banned.
Sipping to get all the different notes.
Right.
It's like wine tasting.
Yeah, totally like wine tasting, and there's different like ones that they use, and so you might have some like chocolatey, like banana flavor at first, and then it transitions into something like more, I don't know, just anything.
That is super fancy.
It's awesome.
I hate coffee. I hate the taste of coffee.
You never drink coffee at all?
No.
Okay, so bring tea to Pierre Springs.
Oh, I will, yeah.
Okay, because we do fucking cowboy coffee there. Like, we are hardcore. Like, we will just boil it in a big pot. And
I noticed that last
strainer.
time. Like, I'm like an
Did you
asshole.
try it when you were...
Fuck no.
Oh, yeah. It was... I was curious because you're like, man, I really need something to wake me up. I'm like, just drink the fucking cowboy coffee.
Well, I was really bummed out because I'm like, I can't get going without a cup of tea in the morning. Like, I'm an addict. I drink 4 mugs of Earl every morning right now, and that's just to get me going. And so like we were there, and they're like, "Oh, where's the hot water?" Like, "Oh, we already made it all with coffee." I'm like, "Fuck!" Like, we can make more. I'm like, "No." I just went like sat on a rock, like depressed for a minute. Like, damn it. Yeah, that's my life. I don't blame it. I mean, it's my thing. Like, it's just I should get over it and be like, I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's coffee. I should drink it. Like, I get that, but
and pick it out of your teeth.
Yeah, so I drank water and had a headache until I got lots of caffeine later in the day.
I'm really hoping that we can do a community meal like every day.
Yeah, well, and you just got off the phone with Food Not Bombs.
I did.
So
we
sound
like
we're able,
yeah. I mean, definitely gonna get an awesome haul from Food Not Bombs. We're gonna try to get some ourselves, and we're get some other sources that are coming in with some, and so I think it'll be good. It's all dependent on who shows up and what. Definitely at least one meal.
The nice thing about having the community meal out there is like it's this forced social interaction, especially for people who never ever come to anything that we've ever done before. So like you get together and it's like, okay, we need volunteers. Who's going to help cook dinner? And then you get like people from Grand Junction cooking dinner, people from Salt Lake, and they've never met. And as they're chopping vegetables and making curry, it's like, oh, community.
Well, so like last time when we went to that I know you had one other camp out. We were at the family camp out, and whenever there was people together, you're always, okay, let's all stand up and say your name. So I'm always like, fuck, I hate this part. And you're always like chipper and like, let's do this. I'm like, God damn it.
Forces you out of your shell.
I never know what to say.
I have a hard time with self-promoting and with like, I guess I'm here with Which Side?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been with a lot of people. I mean, I'm sure you have that problem.
Oh my God.
It's like, how many
here
organizations have you worked with?
UTSR today or Peaceful?
Like the last camp out we did, I was like, hi, my name is Jessica. I'm here with anybody who wants to stop tar sands mining. Because it's just like, otherwise we're going to be here all day. I'm just going to be listing off like all these enviro groups and all these like social justice and climate justice groups. And it's just not worth it. We've been asking like different questions though. So like what drove you to come out here? As opposed to like, who are you with? Or, what work do you do? Like, why did you come out to PR Springs? Like, why did you come out into the middle of nowhere in eastern Utah, the first tar sands mine? Like, and the answers are like pretty great. Like people hear about this and they just start giving you like these like deeply heartfelt personal experiences.
But I did like the one that's like, I came because my wife made me.
I like that guess.
Okay.
My wife will be that way if she can make it. She's like, I'm here because his dick made me. But when you say it's like the middle of nowhere, one thing that really surprised me, because that was my first time going out there, it is in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden it's beautiful right there. That little camp area, it's gorgeous. It's really nice.
Which is ironic because, I mean, it's right next to where they're mining. It's like you pick the nice place.
No, like that entire area is because when you guys came, you guys just kind of chilled at the campground for a little bit. So like when you get into the area and you start like actually going on like day hikes and things like that, you start like there's this hike that we've done down Main Canyon, and Main Canyon comes smack up against U.S. Oil Sands test pit. So like when you're hiking down there, like eventually like you look up and you can see the fucking pit, like it's right there. But as you go deeper and deeper into Main Canyon, it's like this beautiful, extremely like rich life out here. I know it's really weird because like there's tons of oil and gas. Like this area has been like the sacrifice zone for like all of Utah. Like all the like conservation groups have basically been like, well, we're gonna solve the real wilderness and not this area, because this area is like just like some shitty place. And like even the state of Utah has like come out with studies saying, oh no, it's this like arid, gray, dead area and like nothing is out there. There's literally nothing out there. And then you get out there and like the life is so rich, even in the face of like decades of oil and gas. It's just it's weird.
So let me pose this question to you. I'm really almost purposefully ignorant on some of the issues with it. If that makes sense. Do you know, like, so what is the main issue with the tar sand, especially there? For anyone who doesn't know,
right? Me
being, I mean, I know the gist of it, but why should I really give a fuck?
So tar sands mining is really, really intense. Like, if you look at what's going on up in Athabasca, right, like in the Fort McMurray, Alberta area, it's really, really, really destructive.
And they're the forefront of tar mining, right?
Yeah.
Tar sands mining.
Tar sands mining.
And shell also, right?
Mm-hmm. It's been going on so long up in that area that you can literally look from space and see the tar sands pits in Canada, right? So what it requires is so much more than has ever been done in the United States before. Because it requires extensive clear cutting of areas, which just completely decimates the ecosystem. It then requires strip mining, which basically rips all the land away. And then after that, like, you have this huge open wound on the earth that's never going to recover, regardless of what the corporations would like you to think. And after that point, they have to basically use a ton of other types of energy in order to extract basically this tar sands. And tar sands are basically, like, think asphalt. It's like naturally occurring asphalt. If you were to go outside your house right now and break up the road with an axe and, like, try to basically turn that into oil, that's what they're basically proposing to do, is to turn that into crude. And in order to do that, it requires a lot of heat, it requires a lot of water. And U.S. Oil Sands and a couple of the other companies who are hoping to start these projects are basically trying to come up with these new eco-friendly ways of doing this, which is complete and utter bullshit.
It's like the myth of clean coal.
Exactly.
Like, coal's fucking coal.
Yeah. It's like there's no way to do this in a more economically friendly way. Like, the very idea of tar sands is economically destructive and economically destructive. So basically, like, U.S. Oil Sands is going to be using this chemical called delimonene, which is supposedly, extracted out of citrus, and it's non-toxic, and it's user-friendly, and it's used in household cleaning products. And this is the talking points, right, that they want us to believe. But basically, this requires also large amounts of water, because the chemical itself needs water in order to get made. And this water and these chemicals are then pumped in to this heated tar-like substance, right? And as they're doing this, like, all of these toxins that already exist naturally in this bitumen, right, these tar sands, are released. So there's mercury that already exists naturally in this stuff. There's arsenic that already exists naturally. And we've also read studies done by the state of Utah that say there's actually uranium that's found out in eastern Utah in the tar sands deposits.
That sounds like a party.
Basically, yeah. A big death party is basically what's going on. But, like, all these things are then, like, released, and not only released and, like, when we're refining, but, like, released into the watershed. And that's been the huge concern out there, is because, like, the East Tabapu's Plateau, the Colorado Plateau, is directly connected to, the Colorado River. And the Green River is basically the water system that's going to get most directly impacted by all the stuff that's going on up there.
How have they gotten the water rights out there with how much drought is going on in Colorado and Utah, and how much water is being taken out of Utah? But that's a whole other issue. But how are they actually getting the water rights to do all this?
So they have actually leased water rights to drill into the Mesa Verde Aquifer, which is this ancient aquifer that's never been tapped before. And this is, it's like 20,000 feet. It's really, really far.
That's really, really far.
Yeah, and this is the thing that kills me. So they've already dug their well. Their well is already set and ready to go. And what they're doing is actually selling the water from this aquifer to the road construction crews to make mud. Because the road construction crews bring up a lot of dust. They have these big, huge, giant trucks. I'm sure you guys saw when you guys were out there. And they're driving along Steep Ridge Road, and all this dust is going up in the air. So now U.S. Oil Sands is selling them water to spray down the roads to make mud so that the dust isn't getting made. So this ancient water that really should be like a last resort type of thing for us to tap into because we live in the middle of a fucking desert, is now being wasted. That's pretty great, right? I mean, there's no problem with that. We can't see any problems with that whatsoever.
Speaking of that fucked up road, I was so shocked that I had visited the year prior, and it was all dirt road. And then coming back a year later to see pretty much complete pavement all the way down was just a shock. Like, that road's fucked up in its own right. Not just the tar sands.
No, yeah. Steep Ridge Road is literally this road to nowhere. It was this dirt road that just basically kind of existed, and, like, you know, hunters and campers and some oil and gas dudes would, like, go and they would use it, and it was fine the way it was, right? So somebody's infinite wisdom has decided that like we need to have a 2-lane highway going out into the middle of nowhere, whose only purpose is basically
probably the trucks.
Right. I mean, it's basically going to like open up this energy colony out in the area, because if they can't get the tar sands and oil shell out, then why bother doing it? But it's costing $3 to $6 million a mile. It's costing the state of Utah $3 to $6 million a mile to make this road. I mean, it's insane how much money. So like all of this money that like is being spent just on the road itself, let alone any of the other infrastructure that's going to have to be created for these projects to be like economically viable. Like that money alone, if we could be putting that back into like the Utah economy, because like U.S. Oil Sands' entire thing, and SITLA, which is like the State Institute for the Trust Lands that basically leased off this public land to U.S. Oil Sands, which is a Canadian company. You guys have like talked about this, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay. So SITLA leased off this land to a Canadian company, saying like, well, it's for the good of the children. We're going to be leasing off this land, and like all the money that's going to come is going to be going into the schools. But like 1% of the money that Utah schools get comes from SITLA. Only 1% total. Like not even just from U.S. Oil Sands, like total. It's just like pennies. Like we are some of like the worst funded schools.
Oh, not some.
Country.
We are the worst.
Right?
We have the highest the cost per child. They spend the least per child of any other state in this state.
Right.
We're the worst funded school system.
But like, can you imagine like $3 to $6 million a mile? Like we could have pumped that money into our school system. Like that would have actually been pretty great, right?
They might actually be able to keep some of them open.
Right. Exactly.
Or the fucking community in general.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many things that money could have gone into, but no.
I mean, I think just a couple miles, it's good enough to take care of our school problem.
I loved when I asked you about it. Your voice raises and you talk a little bit faster. You can just tell how like that's when you talk, that's passion.
Oh, yeah.
Why the fuck is this your passion?
That's like a really difficult question. So like a year and a half ago, I had never heard about tar sands before, like ever. And I was occupying Salt Lake City, and I was getting involved with Peaceful Uprising, and Peace Up does this thing, like these quarterly audits of like communities, right? And we try to figure out, okay, so like what's something that like is really awesome that we really want to foster, which is like a cool spot, right? Because like cool and global warming would be a good thing. And what is a hot spot, which is something like we really need to put our attention to because it's really destructive. And so the hot spot that quarter was the Utah tar sands resistance, right? And I got involved doing this because it was like, oh, well, okay, this sounds like great. Let's start learning about tar sands. I have no idea what this is. And you start learning about it, and you start getting all this data, and you start seeing the destruction, and you can't help but get just really, really passionate about it. So we ended up doing like a flash mob at the SITLA office, just basically calling them out on all of their bullshit. But I still, even at that point, didn't really get it until I went out to Pierre Springs. And I saw the test pit, which was like a 2.5 acre open wound that was like bleeding. And my heart broke. It really broke. And every time I go out there, it's this really, really weird headspace because it is one of my favorite areas in the world. Like I love Eastern Utah, and I love the Tabaputs Plateau. And every time I go there, I'm so happy because I get to be there. And then my heart breaks all over again. And like it just starts breaking more now because the pit itself hasn't been like, they haven't done more mining, but they've been getting their infrastructure into place, which means more clear cutting, more things going on. So like the pit itself, like the area that it's in the last year has doubled in size. And it's just like, you see this and like, I mean, it smells like death there. You know what I mean? And that's like part of why actually we love getting these campouts and like getting people out into this area is because we can talk until we're blue in the face about tar sands, and we can talk to you about how it's a social justice issue. We can talk to you about what's going on in Athabasca and how the Dene are getting killed off by like these really rare forms of cancer and like all this shit. And like you can be like, oh, that's terrible, until you actually like see it and smell it and actually like get this shit on your hands and can't get it off. It's really hard to actually comprehend what's going on.
So a lot of people would say that area as far as like looks go. It's only an area that a mother could love.
Oh.
Because like it's kind of desolate and it's a fucking desert.
In parts.
Yeah, no, and I love desert. Don't get me wrong. So what gives you that emotional? Because you said like you always had this connection. Like, what gave you that connection? Like, what makes you love that area so much?
I've lived in Utah my entire life, and I, used to go camping and shit when I was a kid. I've never actually experienced a landscape this diverse, which is saying something because, like we talked about before, like this area has also already been tapped by oil and gas for decades, right? There's a lot of shit that's been going on out there that like needs to not be going on. Even in the face of that, like there's so much life that's going on out there. I mean, there are huge herds of elk and deer. There are ground dogs and chipmunks and squirrels. There's these beautiful butterflies that I actually just discovered on the last camp out that we were at that I'd never seen before. Like these beautiful brown and orange things, right? But like you would literally like, walk 5 minutes from the BLM campground that we're going to be at and sit down and stay there for maybe 15 minutes and count the number of like encounters you have with a creature of some kind.
I saw a turkey.
You saw turkey? Turkeys are amazing, dude.
They were up in the trees. That was weird.
Yeah, I didn't know they roosted so high.
Yeah. Dude, we saw an entire flock of wild turkeys. There was like 2 moms and like 6 or 7 babies that were just kind of chilling right next to the campground.
I gotta say though, turkeys are fucking ugly.
Eh.
No, Have
you seen a baby turkey?
No.
Baby turkeys are adorable.
They probably look like dinosaurs. I mean, if they look anything like baby chickens, like they look like dinosaurs. Yeah. Which is cool. I mean, I'm not, whatever.
No, but I totally get what you're saying. The first time we visited that, like, it totally was like a total shocker. And that just got my passion for it.
It's weird though, because like Utah is like this place where we kind of like tout our wilderness as like this utterly unique, beautiful resource, basically, like for tourism. It's our resource for tourism. And I know it pisses me off somewhat because, I mean, not somewhat, it pisses me off quite a fucking lot. That like you can only enjoy certain areas of Utah because they're the pretty ones. Right? So like you go to Arches, right? And then it's like, oh, cool. I've experienced Utah wilderness. Like I've experienced what it means to be out in the middle of nowhere and like experience this like majestic landscape. And it's like, there's so many other parts of Utah that just because they're not Red Rock, just because they're not in southern Utah, like they're like I said this before, like they're a sacrifice zone, like they're expendable. Like they can't have value in and of themselves.
So do you feel that there should be some use of land resources?
I personally don't.
So do you err on the side towards like primitivism?
No.
So if you're not erring on the side of primitivism, then how do you get resources?
So here's the thing, like, and actually,
I'm not trying to like.
Yeah. No. So this is a question like all of us ask ourselves is like, how do we move forward? Like, what's the next step? Because like we are currently the society that exists solely because of fossil fuels. Like that is our societal addiction. Oh, totally. Yeah. Totally. But then like how do you move forward from that? And one of the things my good friend Rebecca Hall has talked about is abolishing fossil fuels, much like we had to abolish slavery because it was like an immoral institution on which everything rested, right? And even while we were in the process of doing that, we had a shit ton of people saying like, well, we can't do that. What's going to happen to the economy? Well, what are we going to do instead of this? But just because like it's a difficult question to answer doesn't mean that you ignore the question and keep doing it. So my personal belief is that like there's a ton of resources and there's a ton of technology that's already available to us that needs to actually be developed more. And some of them are really problematic, right? Like if you're talking about like solar panels, that requires mining in and of themselves because we have to get copper, right?
Well, not just, every aspect.
Yeah, exactly.
Battery that holds.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So like really problematic, but could that be maybe a transition, right? And can we look at it as a transition technology? There's a crew in England, and they actually go by No Tar Sands, which is great because that's kind of our battle call. But notarsands.org, and they are comprised of a lot of different groups, including like Greenpeace and like some really radical folks. And they actually did this study where it's called two energy futures. And they basically look at the economic, environmental, and societal impacts of staying on one future or the other. So if we stay on fossil fuels, and that means developing shit like tar sands and oil shale, that means continuing to do mountaintop removal, that means fracking, that means traditional crude, that means all the shit that we're doing that's killing us. You can see like what happens like in the course of like 100 years, and everything basically is like this huge downward swing until we all fucking die. The other thing is looking at technology that's already available to us. It already exists. It doesn't require that we have to develop anything else. And they full on admit, even as problematic as some of this technology is, this is what happens. And it means survival. Yeah. It means that things continue. So like one of my friends, Jake Hansen, has been involved with transition towns, right? And I love this idea of transitioning, because you have to. Like, it's really hard to get everybody in our culture to hop from one thing directly into the next thing. Mm-hmm. Like, that's almost impossible, right? Because when we talk about our society, we're talking about the entire fucking world. Like, this isn't just, like, a state of Utah.
But it seems like you're focusing on the aspect of just fossil fuels. What about everything else that needs to be used as resources?
Such as?
Every metal, silica, for glass, things that will make it possible to not live in what I would call a primitive society. Like, how does that fit into your personal structural? Because this is something I fight with all the time personally. Like, I look back, like, I hate fucking plastic. It's one of the things I've been trying to eliminate from my life for a long time, and making all those steps to do that. But then, okay, well, is silica mining any worse than fossil fuels to get your glass? Well, glass will last longer. So it's like this internal battle I'm always fighting. Like, how do you fight that battle, and where do you lie on those battle lines? That kind of makes sense?
Yeah. It's a difficult question, and I'm not really entirely sure how to answer it. Like,
I mean, are you for the abolition of all? Because it sounds like you were saying you're for the abolition of all resources. Like, we shouldn't be using resources at all. But then you said you're not a primitivist, and that's what threw me off.
No, so here's the thing. Like,
no, you're fine.
You're putting me on the spot.
Well, I am putting it's because this is internal struggle I also have.
It's a battle that I have
an answer. It's just where we all personally find ourselves.
Yeah. So in the short term, I feel like there is already enough stuff that exists that we've already mined and produced that we can basically use, but we're not. I mean, there's huge islands of trash out in the middle of the ocean that's comprised of plastics and glass and all.
So you talk about focusing on recycling,
right? Yeah.
What about, as far as to my very limited knowledge, most recycling consumes more or creates more greenhouse gases than the raw resources,
really?
Except steel, to my knowledge. And it's limited. I'm not saying that's 100%. So, like, to recycle paper, causes more greenhouse gases than it would be to create new paper. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying that then it creates also that battle.
I've heard that it uses more energy, but I wouldn't say greenhouse gases. I haven't heard that.
Yeah. What I was always under the understanding, like I said, I'm not an expert on this, but what there's very few, and it was mainly in the metals that didn't cause more greenhouse emissions. And it was mainly steel, because steel is like the easiest to recycle, and it has an infinite life. But even like aluminum doesn't have an infinite recycle life, which a lot of people don't understand those things. Glass doesn't have an infinite recycle life, but steel is one of the few that do. So like, this is where my battle lies. That's why I'm asking you, like, how you deal with this battle.
I feel like I already answered the question though, because we have technologies right now that make transition and survival possible, so that we can then find other technologies to make maybe some of this other shit obsolete, so that it's not necessary. And that's kind of like what I feel like. If
so, you're like, let's live, and there's some necessary evil.
Yeah, like I don't want everybody to die. I don't want climate change to continue, and I don't want like entire like communities to be wiped off like the face of the planet because this shit, right? And so like to me that's like there's like the very, very immediate battles that need to be fought and won, and which are being fought and being won in my perception. And like as we're doing that, I feel like there should also be other people who are trying to look for these like transitions away from the way we've built up our society and what we feel is necessary. And then there should be like there's going to be something else that we're going to be able to figure out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So whether transition is okay, like we're not going to be mining any more copper. We're just going to be using the copper that we've got, or like whatever, however that looks. Like something needs to shift. Like yeah.
Do you feel?
Well, I mean that's kind of what my stance is.
I
say that something definitely needs to change. We need to stop.
Oh yeah,
like at least as much as we do. I'm on the fence about it too. Like I know that we need resources, but we don't need an abundance of resources that we're going to waste anyway.
So I was dabbled in primitivism 10 years ago or so. Like really got into learning about it, and the one thing I couldn't get is the selfishness that I find myself with. I like things. Like I like my computer. I'm okay, and I think that's okay to like that. Now, is my computer really destructive to the environment? Yeah, it really is. I understand that, but I think that there's ways of doing things in a more sustainable manner without having to live in a what people would call a primitive society.
And I think part of that is, I mean, Jordan said this, like, there's, like, a selfishness. We are all really fucking selfish creatures. Yeah. Especially, I mean, like, people who live in the U.S., like, it boggles my mind so much, like, how much we consume on a daily basis without even thinking about it. And I think that's what it takes, is, like, being very, very conscious about the resources that you are using on a daily basis. And I mean, this is not like the bullshit, like, well, if we all just change our light bulbs, we're going to save the world. Like, no, like, there's really, like very, very good steps that we can take that are going to, like, really help contribute to, like, this transition to a more sustainable and livable society.
I hate the compact fluorescent bulbs with a fucking passion. Like, it's one of the biggest irritating things because you can't dispose of them. They're fucking hazardous material.
What was that?
You can't dispose of them.
What was
the little squirrely light bulbs, compact fluorescent light bulbs, called CFCs, I think what they're called. Yeah. Like there's fucking mercury in there. Like you can't. People, I hate. I'm not saying that they're not like they don't. Yes, they consume less electricity. Blah 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 blah. But I think that the long-term environmental impact is worse. That being said, I still have them. But you're right. It's not the solution. It's irritating.
I know, and like it's difficult because like all of us really want a simple answer, and there's no simple answer. And there's not going to be a simple transition away from where we are to where we need to be. It's going to be painful. It's going to be really fucking difficult.
I think right now we're in that stage of society where like a little kid who wants to rip off a band, they're like, but it's gonna hurt. And we're just like, we gotta fucking do it. Like that's kind of how I view it.
Not that I like Derek Jensen all that much. He did have a comic book that he did with another lady that I thought was really funny. It talks about...
We're back. Sorry.
All right. So, yeah, I was just talking about how funny that comic book is. It's like called 50 Things to Do to Save the World. And it's just sarcasm, the entire thing. It's like, but don't you know if you change your light bulbs into, these twirly ones or whatever, that it'll save so much energy and you'll be able to power your TV for 4 hours. Big woo.
Okay, so let me really put you on the spot here.
Oh no!
You can tell me like, shut up. I don't want to talk about this. That's fine.
Punch him.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So, sorry, I was figuring out how to phrase this and not come off like an asshole.
Dude,
she looks like totally.
Nervous.
She's totally scared. Okay, so you're very passionate about environmentalism, right?
Yeah, that wasn't always the case.
Yeah, which is, but and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you're not vegan.
I'm not.
So, to me, there's a very big correlation between the two, And like I said, we don't have to do this. I'm fine. But why? It's just ask why not?
So I eat vegan quite a bit. Like the majority of my diet is vegan. It's very, very rarely that I don't eat vegan. And that's just because it's been a weird health thing. Like my body doesn't absorb B12, and I can get like pretty anemic, and like it causes other health issues that already exist.
So you have a natural B12 deficiency.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So like that, and like trying to find ways to supplement that in a way that like does maintain vegan, like obviously like nutritional yeast and shit. But
no one wants that much. I love nutritional
like
yeast.
Spoonfuls of this powdery stuff, right? It's just like
what's wrong with that? I'm just saying, it's delicious.
It's great on popcorn. I don't know if you've ever tried that.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. I love it. So your biggest thing is a B12 deficiency.
And that's a big thing.
It is a big thing. It controls your nervous system. So you're very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about veganism. Yeah. Like 10 times more than about environmentalism. That's just what my passion is. Not that I don't care, obviously. So what would you need to make that full step?
I would need to figure out how to do it in a healthy way so that my body didn't start shutting down.
Okay. So what do you do now, since you're saying it's mainly dealing with B12? Well, B12 is a microorganism that's really, I think most Americans in particular should be really worried about, because we used to get it grown on the outsides of our fruits and vegetables. But due to our agriculture system now and how we wash them, blah, blah, no one gets it. So the only way we get it, most Americans get it now, is supplemented foods, or it is found in meat products, because those animals eat the natural food, which then gets digested by them, which then gets digested by humans, which you get a lesser amount than you would if you were just eating them. Anyways, it's a complicated step, right? So what do you do to get it that's not vegan? Because I'm not really aware of... I'm just uneducated on this. I thought most like supplements and things like that are B12 were vegan. Are they not?
Well, I haven't. I sometimes will take supplements. It doesn't always work, because part of the problem is that my body won't absorb. I won't just keep it, so I can like pop.
Have you tried like the shots?
I haven't done that yet, mainly because I don't have health insurance, and they're very expensive.
Yeah. They are very. So... And B12 deficiency runs in my family. It's the only reason I know just anything about it at all. And
like it hasn't been as big an issue because I'm actually like we have our own garden, so like we are growing.
You're aware of it.
Yeah. So really, it's like this very, very rare thing where every once in a while, like I'll just realize like, okay, like I'm gonna have to do this, and like I've done research on like the kinds of animal products that like are really high in it, so I only have to have a little. I don't even know what is high in it. It's like the gross stuff. It's like liver.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And some types of fish and like shellfish and things like that will be pretty high in it. So yeah, it's like every once in a while I'll have some of that. But like like I said, it's been like rarer and like longer periods of time. Yeah. Though the other thing, and like this is like an organizing thing. This is like a really weird position that people get put in. And actually, like I ran into this first of all when I was talking to a bunch of my friends when I was down in Texas with the tar sands blockade. Is like you come in as like this like idealistic like organizer, right? Yeah. From like big city, and you go into this rural area and you're like, hey, this like social rights like climate justice thing is like coming through your town and is gonna like destroy everything, and we're here to stop it and help you. And like basically they tell you to fuck off.
It's like the white saviors coming in.
It totally is. Right.
I
so
get
like
that.
We come in and like we're like, oh, okay, let's basically like build actual relationships with people. And that's like really what we're doing, is like going in and being like, hey, like we're not doing this just because like we're these idealistic like college kids. Like we're not, right? There's like a bunch of like all of us are like pretty much like lower income. We've got like a lot of indigenous folks working with us. Like, but like us coming in and trying to build relationships with people who live in rural Utah and actually build a friendship and a relationship with them. It's like, okay, well, sometimes you may have to eat meat because like they might invite you to their house for a barbecue or something, and there may literally be nothing else to eat there, right? Or I mean, talking about when we had our action camp, right? There's the Canyon Country Action Camp that happened down in Green River last month, and So like our friends with Lakota had come, right? Like people from the Pine Ridge Reservation had come. And I mean, it's like a very big cultural thing for them that they eat meat, right? And it's like, it's actually really disrespectful for us to come in and be like, hey, like most people in the circle are vegan, so we're going to say that you can't eat meat. And they're like, this is a cultural thing for us. So it's like, it's these weird things when you're dealing with
it's really funny that you talk about this because, like, again, 10 years ago, I was that person. It's like, fuck no, this is the way it's going to be. There's going to be no. And now I don't know if it's I grew up or I matured or I'm just old, but it's I think I have a way more understanding.
I'd say I'm way more anarchistic.
Yeah, there's
thoughts.
Like, how do I word this? Yeah, because I used to be that person, like 100%, and and it's really hard because like when that's your passion, like you're looking at it from a different standpoint than like someone like me who because that's not your passion. Like you understand it, you get it. Kind of like how I feel about tar sands. I get it. It's important, but I'm not gonna devote my life towards it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so when you do that, it's really hard to have to sit back and say, okay, like where is my privilege coming from? How is that impacting my decisions? How is that impacting my relationships? How is that eliminating being able to work with people on these very important issues, and also maybe educating towards this other issue just because I'm passionate about it. Sometimes you have to. Does that make sense? It was a very hard thing to learn. Very, very hard thing to learn. And nothing irritates me more than people coming in like, this happened like during Katrina. This happens like everywhere people go, like, and like, especially like if Food Not Bombs start organizing things like that, there will be somebody coming and saying, no, this has to be 100% vegan. And it's just like, what's more important, feeding these people or, being 100% vegan? And I'm a speciesist. I care more about people than animals. That's just the way it is. And that was a hard realization for me to come to within myself too, to actually be able to say that. Because there was, I know animal rights activists that you'll come to blows with just by saying that. Like it's some of them, they're very passionate about it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, I don't know where that was going.
I know that like in the past when disasters have happened, I've donated to organizations that strictly have vegan food. But they made a good argument that vegan food's cheaper.
It is.
And so, I don't feel that I was wrong in donating to that.
I'm not going to go into like a village in India and be like, you can't drink that milk from that cow that you have.
You're starving.
I'm not, that's irresponsible and me misunderstanding all the cultural implications and everything else layered upon that, let alone the important fat nutrition that they're getting that they might not be getting because they're only eating fucking rice.
I would say that that most people are understanding if you choose to be vegan, as long as you're not forcing it upon somebody.
Yeah.
Within those like community circles and stuff that I've been a part of. And that's just what I've come to terms with. Like, it's not my place to enforce what other people do.
But what I find really weird is when, and maybe you can add to this if you want, when you get into those more radical circles, all of a sudden, like, sometimes I find myself being, oh, well, he's that radical vegan. Oh, and he's a radical anarchist. And all of a sudden, like, I went from, like, oh, well, we're in this meeting of these relatively radical environmentalists, then being subdivided, be even crazier. And now he's really fucking crazy. And it's like, it's really weird. Like, it's hard to come from that position sometimes. Like, you almost get pushed to the side immediately.
And that was like when we were at the family camp out, when we were doing the sing-alongs, we were singing a bunch of, like,
I thought it was really funny,
random song, like anarchist songs or whatever, and somebody mentioned, oh wow, there's really a lot of anarchists here.
There was a stark divide.
Yeah, it was.
And I love the being able to be around everyone. That's what we really wanted to do with the rendezvous, is get these people together. Like, it's not a vegan thing. It's not, necessarily just an environmental thing. It's not. It's about bringing people together
around an issue,
around
the community.
And and coming together as a community.
And that's been like a really great learning experience for me as an organizer, right? Because like, I mentioned before, like, I wasn't an environmental climate justice organizer. Like, this is not what I did. It's specifically because of the tar sands issue that, like, I got involved.
So this is your first big Okay,
Totally.
I'll remember this forever.
Oh yeah. This is the biggest campaign I've ever taken
Great
part
stories
in,
will
right?
come.
Yeah, but like one of the things that really has come to light is that like you can't have these divisions. You can't be like, well, this person is this person does that, this person identifies as this, because that means that like we do all this internal fighting, there's all this internal conflict, and then shit doesn't get done. And I honestly like all I care about is stopping this project from happening. So it's like we and like the most unlikely of allyships are like taking place, right? So like the last camp out that we went on was this healing walk, right? And the healing walk happened to happen the day that bow season started in the Uinta Basin, right? Really, really weird thing for a lot of us, right? Because a lot of us are vegetarian or vegan, and she's like, okay, we're gonna
anti-hunting,
yeah, and like we're gonna be out here in the middle of hunting season, but the conversations that we were having with these people who've been coming out here, like I talked to two men who've been coming out there since they were like little kids. They've been coming there since they were 5 years old with their daddies, right? And they're like in their fucking 70s now. Like they've been coming out here forever. And you just like, roll up to them, start playing with their dog, and you're like, hey, what do you guys think about this road that's happening? And then, they start telling you how pissed off the road is making them. And then you're like, have you heard about this tar sands pit? And they just like they're conflicted, right? Because they're like, a lot of them are big oil and gas dudes. A lot of people in big fucking trucks and like RVs and things. But like the conflict is like written on their faces, and you start giving them the information, you start giving them the data about what's happening, and like the watershed that's going to be put at risk, the air quality issue that's going to happen in Uinta Basin and the Wasatch Front. Like you start talking to them about this, and like I literally had a hunter who's been doing this since he was a baby say to me, he's like, they're going to take the book cliffs away from me? This is an area that like these hunters love. Yeah. And like, how can we as organizers be like, oh, well, this is a group of people that we're not going to deal with for whatever reason? And it's like, there's this huge ideological divide. There really, really is. But at the same time, like we want the same thing. So how do you figure out how to work together,
What I find really interesting you talk about that is the more that I've been involved in organizing, the more that I realize people who live in rural America are 10 times more likely to be your ally, regardless of everything else, on any issue. It doesn't matter what it is, than more privileged people living in urban areas, because they really understand it. So like you talk to someone who lives in rural America, and they'll be the first one to tell you they hate factory farming, and they'll tell you every reason why they hate factory farming. Are they going to be vegan? No.
It might be that they have a family farm themselves.
Exactly. And and they use the land, they love the land, they're in the land, and they're going to be like your biggest allies on almost every fucking issue. But then they get pushed aside all the time, and like it's really hard for me. Like, yeah, do I agree with hunting? No, I don't agree with unnecessary hunting. That's my choice and where I live. But I would much rather have someone fucking hunting than going to the grocery store and buying factory farm.
Right.
So I'm much more likely to have an ally with that person. But it's really hard because all they know is crazy people, and all we know, like they look at us as crazy and we look at them as crazy, because the divide is so huge. But we're so fucking close, like so fucking close. And when you really talk to them, I've never talked to anybody in my life who doesn't say that they don't at least understand anarchist tendencies. Once you actually talk to them about what it really is, everyone wants to be free. Once you really just talk about it and you break down those barriers, it's amazing. And it took me a lot of growing up to really get to that point. But you're right, like it's hard, to be that, yeah. That's why I hate labels, but I'm not going to, change myself just because of a label.
And I think that it's great that you realize that while in the campaign as opposed to after the fact, because that's something that I've dealt with personally. I'm sure Jeremy has too.
Oh, yeah.
Infighting just fucks shit up.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen campaigns completely fall because of infighting in every movement. Like it's ridiculous.
It's pretty ridiculous.
And what's more fucked up is that really everyone wants the same thing.
Like,
my neighbor across the street really wants the same thing I do. They just might not have all the information I do, and I might not have the information they have either. Mm-hmm. And so it's really hard to be so passionate and be open.
And that's something
to be able to say like I might be wrong is really fucking hard.
And that's something I've definitely learned later in life. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Way later in life.
Way fucking later.
One of the things especially when doing outreach for this campaign, is like I have all this information in my head, right? I have been doing nothing but
it's like bullet points. Like when I ask you about it, you're just like, oh, boom, 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 boom.
Right?
And then you can just be like, she does this all the fucking time.
But like, it's literally like my brain is bursting with this stuff. So like when I meet a new person and like I just want to like just blah, I just want to like vomit it all over them and like shove it into their brain and be like, here, okay, stop Tarzans with me. And that doesn't happen because it's really intimidating.
Well, because it hit a huge passion for you, and it's not going to hit a passion for everyone else.
Yeah.
Like I'm being like really honest. It's not a passion for me, you know, and so that must be really hard for you to not get that passion from everyone.
The nice thing like that I've learned and works really, I mean, and this works well in all instances, right? It's something that we as a society should do more of is just shut up and listen. Like, shut the fuck up and listen. Like, we all talk so much. We all think that we have all of the answers. It's like, yeah, like, we all have this, like, lived experience. We all have all this data that maybe other people don't have. But you know what? The other person that you're interacting with also has lived experience. They also have all this data. Just, like, listen. Listen to what they're doing. And, like, especially people coming from, like, this really privileged place. Mm-hmm. Like, we have such a hard time acknowledging that other people are, like, allowed to have an opinion. Like, our opinion is not the only opinion.
What I found really hard is I love to be challenged because I love to be proved wrong so I can move myself forward. Like, if I'm being challenged on something and someone's like, no, you're wrong, and you really break it down, then yeah, I'm going to change and move forward with that. I think that's great. I love doing that. So I love arguing. But most people just get so combative and it's very hard to find someone who's open enough to really have open arguments and not take it. It's not like a personal attack. It's just, this is from my understanding and my background, my beliefs. This is what I understand. This is what you understand. And let's come to that middle. And I don't ever get it enough, like that I feel. And I miss that. Like it's hard because like, you know, like I'll talk to people about veganism and I want people to argue with me because I want people to try to prove me wrong. Not that I want to argue, but it either will solidify my beliefs or it'll help me come forward on something that I haven't come forward on before.
One of the things I've been thinking actually a lot, and this is totally tangent from Tarzans, but like, there's a lot of people who don't interact that way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't interact that way. I'm one of those people. I hate to argue. It makes me really uncomfortable. But there's a lot of people who like, well, I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm not arguing with you. I just want to have a discussion.
Exactly. And that's how I am.
But it's the way that people present that like it seems really, really aggressive, mm-hmm. right? And so like, and then people are like, well, why don't you want to talk to me? Why are you walking away? And it's like, because you're kind of coming off as an asshole. Yeah. But like, I have
a tendency, like it's really hard because I have a tendency to do that. Yeah. But it's not because I'm trying to challenge the person to say you're wrong. It's because I want them to challenge me to say I'm wrong. That makes it's like a weird, it's a weird power struggle because like I feel like I want, like when I argue with somebody, my goal isn't to prove them wrong. My goal is to walk away both more enlightened. If that makes sense.
No, it totally does. It's just like I have a really, really good friend who like really needs space to be able to like formulate her arguments, mm-hmm. right? And especially activist spaces, we do not provide that space for people.
No.
I mean, can you talk about like a general assembly or any type of meeting whatsoever where it's like you have to be on, you have to have your talking points down, and you have to be ready at the drop of the hat to like shout them out at the top of your lungs, otherwise you're not going to get heard. And that's a really fucked up thing to me because we have like really, really brilliant, thoughtful people who are contributing so much, but like feel like they don't have a place within the movement. And this is part of the shut up and listen thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, because I do this. Like, I'm a person who talks quite a bit if given the opportunity, which is not always the case. I used to be very, very shy, but like, you know, plop me into the middle of a thing and I will go. And I always have to like reel myself back and be like, okay, you know what? Like, there's a bunch of other people here and I want to actually hear what they have to say and what they have to think. And it's like, this is a difficult thing for us to do because as a society, we're told like your voice is the most important voice. You are the center of the universe, right? But it's like, if we can just step back and let them gather their thoughts, let them gather their space. Like, those conversations are so much deeper and more thoughtful than the conversations we're used to engaging in. Even as activists, where we're used to engaging in really thoughtful, like pretty complex conversations quite a bit.
You know, we talked to Scott Crow a little bit about this, and it's that aspect of if you really want to take everyone's opinions, and as any anarchist should, and run on a consensus basis, that means everyone has to be heard, which means that things move really fucking slow. And as activists, we're like, this has to happen now. But really, to get the best ideas, to get the best things moving, it is a process, and it is slow, and it is a little bureaucratic in that, like, yes, we have, and you're right, it doesn't happen enough. Most people just say, well, if they didn't speak up, they didn't speak up. Well, no, like, what about, about this assembly made it so they didn't feel comfortable? That's something that needs to be addressed also, and I don't know how to fix it, but it sucks, and you're right, yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely a new person, but I'd say, like, old me would even go as far as, well, that person doesn't agree with what needs to be done. Fuck them anyway. Plow ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's terrible because that's not the way that things should run.
No.
And I mean, I was an anarchist then too, but I was an anarchist centered around my own belief system.
Yeah, I mean, my first time being involved in a large consensus building was the Democratic National Convention in 2000. And I don't know, there was probably 5,000 people there, somewhere around there, in this one meeting. And it was like, it was really eye-opening to me, because it was like, okay, I'm witnessing where one person can stop everything, and literally one person can stop everything, and you really are in that position where, like, am I going to be that person, And it really made me, like, think really hard about, am I going to be that asshole that's like, no, I'm right, we're going to keep discussing this one point. And I don't.
And if you're adamant about discussing that one point, then you should.
You totally should. But it really made me realize that sometimes you should let your, like, if you're not really adamant, you should just let it go. Like, it was a really hard thing for me to
one example that I like to give people who, like, aren't really familiar with it is, like, say the consensus was about what color to paint the house.
Something, it's minor,
something super minor, and everyone wants it blue, and you really hate blue, but it's not going to kill you.
Just fucking
let
it
go.
Yeah. No, and what's funny is, like, people who haven't been a part of that type of organizing, most of the decisions are that menial.
Yeah,
like, they're that fucking simple, and, like, they get derailed. Like, sometimes it's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to fucking have blue paint.
Like, I do say it's ridiculous, but I do think it's important, because I think any type of organizing that affects that many people should go slow.
Oh, totally.
But yet we're in this time crunch of, this shit's happening now, we got to move forward.
Well, I think the great thing, though, is that, especially when you start working with people for a period of time, is that, like, you develop a sense of trust with each other. So then those minute things, they aren't as important. When you're dealing with people that you've never organized with before, like, there's always this, like, why do they want to paint the house blue? Like, what is the purpose?
What's the underlying issue?
But once you've actually been organizing with folks for a while, it's like, okay, no, I get this. Like, all right, you're gonna paint the house blue, and it's gonna lead to whatever. But, like, there's this broader issue that's going on, and, like, it's like a sense of trust, right? Like, the people you're organizing with, you have to trust them. It's like, okay, you guys want to do this thing, you want to have this event, you want to have this rally, you want to do this direct action. Cool, I may not, like, agree with what you want to do, like, 100%, but I trust you guys. Like, go ahead and do it. I'll help out how I can, and then you guys will do the same for me. And then things tend to move a little bit smoother. I mean, the hard thing, though, is, like, we don't want to just, like, be organizing with the same people that we're always organizing with. We don't want to have that fishbowl. So, like, how do you plug in new people into a campaign or into a group or a movement you haven't been organizing with the past, like, year and a half? Difficult question.
And that's something that I started doing, and it was as basic as seeing people at the grocery store who I'd noticed were buying traditionally more vegan things, not even all the way vegan, and be like, hey, are you against fur? We're having a fur rally. I still found that it was super cliquey among the people who knew each other and the people who were vegan, and they were always talking about vegan food, and it's super made those people feel like they weren't included. And that was something that was after the fact that I noticed. And so that's why I was saying I was really glad that you're seeing these things before, because definitely sucks when those people don't show up anymore and you think about it after the fact.
I would really love to talk to you in 10 years and see, like, how things are with you in organizing at that point. Because everyone I know that gets really involved in organizing kind of goes through these little steps where it's like they get gung-ho, they get jaded, they fucking hate people, and then they start getting back. Like, it's like this. You've probably seen people there at some stage of that progression, but it's pretty like I've never seen someone who really hasn't gone through that a little bit. And it's fun and exciting and shitty all at the same time.
Totally.
Yeah. But I would really like to talk to you like in that 10 years to see like, you know, what your path along that organizing has been, like the stories. Because you'll have hundreds of stories in that time frame as long as you continue
you'll shut down Tarsan.
Yeah, you'll shut down Tarsan.
And, we'll be focused on something else by that point.
So one last quick thing before we have to go. What is the craziest story that you have from organizing so far? Not even with just Tarsan, but this is pretty much the only thing you've been organizing with, right?
Well, no.
Occupy.
Occupy.
One of the original occupiers in Salt Lake, and I've been basically going nonstop since then. So
what's the craziest story? Interpret that how you want.
Ooh, you gotta give me a minute.
Okay. Think about that. What about you, Jordan? What's the craziest thing you've done, or
what's the craziest thing I've done as far as organizing?
Not just done, like craziest story or whatever.
That's a hard question because there's a lot of crazy.
There's a
things.
lot.
I mean, is it like the restaurant owner who came out and threw boiling hot water on somebody and got punched out and ended foie gras at the restaurant right then and there because the owner was so upset with the violence? Or was it the zombie march down Main Street? You know, there's crazy stuff that happens. There's a lot of crazy stuff. I don't know.
So, you know, like you have these moments that you always refer back to, right? Like just in the course of your life, there's like these touchstones, right? So I drive my friends crazy because I'm always talking about like, remember when we were down in Texas? You guys remember? So like when I went down to Texas to go to an action camp for the Tarzan's blockade, the action that we did during the course of that day was basically to like swarm this easement with like 50, 60 people, like howling like coyotes and like running all over the place, and people were locking down, and we were trying to like throw like food up to people who'd been living in trees for like over a month.
Was that on YouTube?
Yeah,
I heard.
Was that your first time being at a tree sit?
That was my first time ever being.
They're
at a
amazing.
Tree
I
sit.
love tree sits.
I wish that I had actually been able to like go up the tree. That would have been pretty badass, but alas. But during the course of that day, it was just like these really weird experiences, to the point where like one of the local news stations was like, hey, you charismatic charming girl, come be on television. And I was like, okay. And it was like the most like giving interview I'd ever done, to the point where like we did 3 takes because they weren't happy with like the sound quality. It was like never happened to me before. So like as I'm doing this, like this dude is just like, okay, do you need anything? Do you need some water? Do you need to take a break? And it was just like going like, what the fuck is going on? Am I like in this like alternate universe? And as we're doing this, one of our friends from Earth First decided that he was gonna jump onto the top of a big like fucking diesel truck and do a banner drop that like this original plan just happened. And so I go from like literally being on camera to like running over to where my friend is, singing Solidarity Forever at the top of my lungs, including like some verses that we made up on the spot about like the blockade, and like just like wonderful kind of beautiful moment. And just like watching this like the newscaster's face of like, holy shit, I am so out of my element. Like he had no idea what to make of any of this stuff, right? It's just like, I have no idea what's going on, you fucking crazy activist people.
It reminds me of probably one of my craziest things. This is one thing that I always refer back to. Again, this was at the DNC in 2000, and I remember it so vividly. It was there was a point where Rage Against the Machine was playing, and there was probably 40, maybe 50,000 people there. And it was right up against the border of the Staples Center where they were holding the convention. And right along the line where all the anarchists were, there was probably a good 300-400 actual anarchists in Black Bloc right there at the fence, where everyone else is just like, rage, yay, doing their little concert thing. And it turned out into this huge riot between the police and the anarchists right there. Like, really fucking bad. There was Molotov cocktails thrown. There was the actual shootings. There was crazy. The crazy thing that happened to me was I was in Black Bloc and I was right there, and I get hit 3 times in the face with the pepper spray paintball thing, right? And there was a medic right there. I yelled medic, and they came and started washing my eyes out and everything else. There was a cameraman from one of the news stations that was in there also and started filming it. And as they ripped off my mat, there was another kid in black bloc. I have no idea who any of these people are. He looks at me and goes, "Do you want cameras?" And I said, "No cameras." And he grabbed the camera from the guy and threw it on the ground. He goes, "He said no fucking cameras," and then ran away. I'm like, wow, that was fucking crazy. What was that? That is an amazing thing to be a part of, deblocking. It's real. You looked at like,
yeah,
like you know,
no idea.
so like when you're in a very large black bloc who's been very active, well, it's very easy for the cops just to cordon everyone off and arrest everyone. Well, if you're in a very large group who's also not in black bloc, it's very important to get out of black bloc and get back into that group. And so it's a way of people removing their black bloc, getting in normal civvy attire, I guess, and then escaping the block into the crowd
without anyone
with
knowing.
in complete anonymity. Because that's the whole point of a black bloc, is to be that anonymous person. So it's not just, you know, going and arriving in black bloc. That's easy to follow somebody. The aspect of actually deblocking is like an amazing thing to be a part of. It's insane. You'll see like 400 people, and they'll be just all of a sudden no one. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
I was gonna follow up with one more thing. What would you say your favorite thing was? Not craziest, and I want to ask you too, and then I'll follow back.
My favorite story is an organization.
Yeah, or
just an organization.
Is an activism in general.
So last summer when Alec was in Salt Lake, we'd had this like crazy day. I mean, it had been like a nonstop day. From,
Alec is so fucked up.
In the morning.
People should learn more about it.
I mean, things that was going on in Chicago was actually like making my heart sing, because like we had spent so much time organizing when they were here to like see the amount of shit that they were getting in Chicago. Just like, oh,
it's great. Anyway, sorry, not to derail you.
So like we'd had this like really intense day, like from like morning pickets at the hotel to just like tons and tons of events over the course of this one day, and like we are just exhausted by the end of this. And going back to get some sleep to do it all again in the morning, and I get a text message saying like, you know who is at the Leonardo, right? This anonymous source like tipped me off that like they were having this private party at the Leonardo, and we couldn't get like everybody there. So like we rounded up people who were still around, people who were still awake, and like 4 or 5 of us basically hung out outside the Leonardo as they were having this fucking cigar party and like drinking cognac and like these huge fucking Cubans. And
just sounds like a fun party.
Oh, it's a great party. But they're just like very, very full of themselves. And like we totally messed up their party. Like we had the best time, because like people would leave and they'd get on these private chartered buses to like drive literally 2 blocks to the hotel they were staying at, because heaven forbid they walk, and they think they come out, and I can like often be like the user friendly like approachable face of like whatever's going on, and I'd be like, excuse me, I have a question for you. And people would be like, oh, okay. And I'd be like, how much money to buy my legislators back? I'm just wondering, should I start saving now? Or, I mean, should I take out a loan? How much money do you think it's going to cost for me to buy my legislators back? And, like, I just kept doing this, like, all night long. And, like, eventually, like, this man and a couple of women walked out. I asked him the question, and he just looked at me, and he shook his head. And he's like, you guys are annoying. And I just like got this big smile on my face, and I was like, thank you.
I'm doing my job.
We're trying really hard to be, so that's really great.
What was the question again, Jordan?
What's your favorite thing that you've experienced in your activism? You
know, this is we talked about this with Lauren on the Lauren. If anyone haven't heard that, Regan. Go back and hear the show with Lauren Regan. But my favorite thing is I was at the Red Cloud Thunder tree sit in Willamette National Forest, and we crossed the fire road to get to the tree sit, but the entire area was closed at the time. And we didn't know at the time, but we were being watched, and we started being chased by the rangers because they were trying to arrest us for crossing an illegal road, right? And so we started chasing us through the forest, and we ended up getting stuck in some thorn bushes, and we got cited for crossing the road, and then they let us go. But a relatively minor thing, but what later happened, Lauren Regan, the attorney, took up our case, and it changed federal law. And so my name is now associated with that federal law being changed, that now they can't block off those type of roads and those type of situations where people can be allowed to go cross a road from A to B as long as they're not traversing the entire road. Like, it's such a minor little detail in the law, but it can make or break a tree sit. And like I'm really like that's my favorite. Like it's
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. Like I love it. Like it actually did something.
I'd say mine's more in line with yours, where making somebody's meeting miserable. I think banner drops are really underappreciated because they're great.
They are great,
especially when you can do them in a hotel with balloons. So yeah, HLS was having a meeting here in Utah, and we were able to get in there with a banner attached to some balloons, and it floated up to the top of the auditorium, dropped down, so perfect, kicked out. Sign couldn't get down.
That's really hard because when you say HLS, I have so many like awesome HLS stories that I loved. Yeah. You say when we're talking about HLS,
Huntington Life Science, yeah.
So I have a ton, but like they could go on for hours. So
the whole other show.
But I just like sorry, mine was not as cool. Sorry guys.
Yours was cool. Yeah. Change federal law, no big deal.
Yeah.
It's your podcast, so if you want to tell another story, you can.
No, I mean
I'm just saying. You ultimately have like editorial rights, so
nah,
we don't edit anything. Fuck that.
Nah, we're done. No, just kidding.
So, do you have any questions for us?
I'm just curious, right? Because like you guys called for the Rich Side Rendezvous. What was the decision? Like, why choose PR Spring?
Honestly, I think that was more me.
Well, it was a really quick decision too.
Yeah.
It was, hey, let's get some people together and hang out. Is there anything going on? You're like, hey, there's this going on. We're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think like it expanded from like, I know this is a great issue and a great place, and it would be like a great community gathering point. And then I think it expanded off of that because I think it's definitely important that we gather as a community, and especially when we rally around an issue. And I think that's what it mainly is for me. Like whether or not 5 years from now we're rallying around an issue in a completely different country, even, it'd be fun. It's great to build community, and
in a fun manner. Like
in a fun manner.
Our whole goal was not to be like super fucking serious and like let's like fix this issue. It's more like let's come together, have fun, but it's around an issue still, so it still has a core meaning. But
we make connections.
I think the biggest thing with PR was he was talking to me about it. I'm like, I don't really give a fuck, and he's like, no, you really need to go down there and see this, blah, blah, blah. We could have it there and you can actually see it and experience it. And, I think so a lot of it was him trying to convince me that I should give a fuck about this issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm not bashful about it. I mean, whatever.
I mean, I even told you.
Yeah.
You need to get him to understand more.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I did a little bit.
I mean, yeah. I don't know how to answer that.
Can I actually tell you? So, like, you live in the Wasatch Front, right? So, one of the big reasons why this is such a huge, like, bioregional issue is the air quality issue.
I mean, you don't need to sell me on it. Like, I'm being sincere. Like it's yes, it should not be happening. I completely agree with that. It's just not like a passion thing for me. Like, I view it just like.
I mean, you got to choose your passion.
So you got to choose it. So like, it went from me being or whatever, it's another oil thing to okay, that's a serious issue. We should have people focusing on it, but it's not something I'm going to dedicate. Does that make sense?
No, totally. And
so I mean, I agree. I don't need to be sold on.
Oh no, and I'm not going to try to sell you, but like one of the things I think that we as a movement need to realize is that not everybody is going to organize around every single thing.
And I think that's good.
Yeah. I think, and that actually like builds like a better, stronger movement. So like you're going to have people who are really dedicated and really passionate about a specific thing, but like our job as other organizers and other people who are passionate about other things is to show up. So, like, if there's a call to action to stop the first arsons in the United States, even if you are not organizing around that, like, you can show up. Like, you can use a little bit of your time and maybe a little bit of your resources to help out. And then the vice versa is true. Whatever you're organizing around, like, you put out a call to action and we show up and we help you. And, like, that's the solidarity.
It's the idea of, like, the general strike. Yeah. Like, we all have to be there. And that's why I think we wanted to help build. Because we come from, we're, these hardcore vegan anarchists that people think, like, do we really care about these environments? Yes, we do, and we will show up and we will help with this, and it'll be, hopefully we can make those connections while we're there and have that friendship bonding where it's not just organized bonding, where you can be like, well, when I have this issue, I kind of need you, that whole thing. I agree. That's kind of the whole
our whole purpose, like what we wanted to kind of hopefully start accomplishing and doing it all the time. And that's why we chose Labor Day also, was because it's, it was the idea of government trying to take away May Day and trying to get their own, like, no, you don't need that workers' holiday. We'll give you your own workers' holiday. Well, no, we'll take that one too, but we're going to fucking take it back from you.
It's ours.
Yeah, it's ours. Like, so let's actually do something for it. Like come together as a community for it.
It's going to be fun, y'all.
I'm hoping.
Super fun.
Yeah. We're already discussing what we want to do next year with it, where we want to go, like what community can we connect with next year and bring to.
Yeah, you guys, do you want to share some of those ideas yet? Or they?
That's it so far. It's just, okay, let's start thinking about this. Like, what communities can we touch on with and help organize? If you have any ideas, we're completely open. Like, I'm selfish and I want something beautiful. Like, I like camping. So, like, if it's pretty in the Wasatch area, I'm down. If it's like in the Redwood area, I'm totally down. Like, but no, like, we really haven't.
I mean, Ski Link's coming up.
I don't even know what that is.
Go for it. You know better than I do.
Ski Link? So, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I actually haven't done like a ton of research on this, but like Ski Link is basically like they're going to be taking a lot of land that's like basically like kind of like untouched, like back mountain type stuff, and they want to develop it to basically like make the ski resorts like more expansive.
Yeah, they want a
Vel
link
revisited
connecting the different ski resorts.
Okay, I gotcha.
Basically, it would give Park City access to all of our prestigious, awesome stuff.
So it's eliminating backcountry skiing, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
It's
Stop
fun.
Ski Link. Stop the Tarzan.
Okay.
Yeah. Stop a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff. There's a lot of
I
stuff.
know, isn't that so sad? We're always about stop, and we're not about build. It makes me sad sometimes.
We could always be like, don't stop. You need to
Don't
find something
stop
like
believing.
that whale downtown. Wow, I can't think of the name. On Fifth South, what's that whale that has the water?
It's not.
It's
on
a
Fifth
national
South. It's
aquifer.
the well. Well,
Yeah,
you're talking about like a
not
physical,
not like
an
a
animal
whale. Yeah,
I'm like, what?
yeah. Don't stop though. That's pretty cool.
I know, that's awesome, yeah.
Let's rally around that.
Okay, we gotta get dinner still.
Sweet.
Okay, well, it's been fun. I'm excited to do it. So where can people, before we go, where can people connect with you guys and get more information about?
Yeah. So 2 places, tarsansresist.org, which is the Tarsans Resistance, and peacefuluprising.org. There's a ton of information there about the projects that are going on, about some of the past things that we've done for the campaign, and then anything coming up. We tend to post upcoming events like campouts and things on there too.
Okay, awesome.
Anything else you want to shout out?
No, I don't think so. Thank you guys for having us on. This is going to be
It's going to be so fun.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
So we want people to come.
We do. It'll be a lot of fun. But some people can't afford to come.
So what we suggest is that you donate at whichsidepodcast.com.
That's going towards gas money and food for people that can't come and have fun with us.
Yeah, so I hope to see you at the Which Side Rendezvous.
We'll see you guys there.
Music this week is Moby, Everlasting.
This is a fantastic MIDI cover of Green Day's
Jesus in Suburbia.
by somebody on YouTube.
Of Suburbia, whatever. Fuck.
And we also, as always, El Comandante.
Is it L or Los or
I think it's El.
Comandantes?
It's Comandantes for sure.
Nonetheless. Which side are you on? Go to bed.
God damn it. We gotta go to bed.
Donate and shit.
Bye. I just like this too much.
God, people are getting sick of our podcast. It's poor lately.
Fuck shit, damn.
Fuck shit, damn.
Recording with 3 people in this whirlwind is challenging.
Yeah,
logistically.
It is. We need to...
We're trying, guys. We really are.
We honestly just need another mic like we have.
Yeah, but we don't have another, like, 60 bucks, right? 80 bucks.
80 bucks. Fuck. Shit, damn.
Fuck shit, damn.